Well, good morning. Morning, everybody. I feel like I've been gone for years. I haven't. Sedona was wonderful. So here we are. Are you ready to sizzle with some zeal? I'm going to start out with a quote from Charles Fillmore, one that you may not be familiar with. Should have told you, Linda, I'm starting right out with a quote. Zeal is the mighty force that incites the wind, the tides, the storms. It urges the planet on its course and spurs the ant to great exertion. To be without zeal is to be without the zest of living. Without zeal, stagnation, inertia, and death would prevail throughout the universe. That's pretty powerful, wouldn't you say? So during this past year, I've been talking about most of the 12 powers. And knowing about these faculties and how to put them in practice will help us realize our full potential in life. And to reach this full potential as spiritual beings walking around in a human body, and to be able to live a healthy and harmonious life. We have to understand the gifts that we are endowed with naturally, and then how to use them. And when you realize what this endeavor means, it can be a little bit daunting. And if we had to figure it out all by ourselves, it would be. But there's so much that we can learn and the possibilities of learning. It's important to realize that it takes a while to incorporate the information that you're learning about the 12 powers to realize that they really are within our bodies and that we can call on them and use them, and it's a little bit it's a slow process. So it's important to be patient with yourself, and it's going to take some effort because there's a lot of information. As I said, it's kind of like, when you learn how to drive a car. You learn the specifics about it, and you pass your driver's test, and you can drive a car. You have a license to drive, but it takes sometimes years of experience to be able to handle so many different situations that come your way. That's a lot like the 12 powers. It's not something that you read a book or you hear a talk, and then at Christmas we talk about we light the candles and talk about the apostles. If we really want to live a life of freedom, a life of power, this is the way to go. This is the way to learn and to use these and to grow. And the positive results that you're going to see in your life is well worth the effort. Zeal is the energy that gets us out of bed in the morning, humming with expectancy. Now, I understand everybody doesn't wake up humming, but once you wake up to realize that, we have something to offer life, it's also a quiet intensity that keeps us moving forward. The apostle that is associated with zeal is Simon the Canaanite. Later, he was called Simon the Zealot. Simon means hearing, okay? The mind power of zeal is located in the back of the neck at what's called the organ called the medulla oblongata. And it's the meeting place between the head and the heart. It's that last piece of the brain before the head and the heart where they connect. It's the balancing place. It's the connection between the intellectual reasoning that we have and the emotional feeling, the intuitive feeling that we have. It's the mixture of the two. It's where the conscious and the subconscious meet. People that don't listen well are often called stiff-necked. You would be surprised, maybe even shocked, at how many quotes in the Bible refer to the people as being stiff-necked. One example is when Moses was admonishing the Israelites in Deuteronomy 31:27. I know thy rebellion and thy stiff neck. So as we develop this faculty of zeal, we become more willing to hear and to listen. And we let go. I mean, people very often have a stiff neck from just being so belligerent and not being willing to listen and hear. So it's not just a joke. I mean, there's something to it. Or neck and shoulder problems. The color for zeal is orange. It's debatable what color my dress is, but I call it orange. We've already had that debate this morning with the music department. There's orange out there. I did the best I could, what can I say? And of course the month is October. So zeal is a spiritual faculty, and it's often expressed as interest, exuberance, enthusiasm. But zeal is much deeper than just emotions, much, much deeper. The pure definition of zeal is it's a faculty which generates our spiritual motivation for living, always forward motion, which brings about harmony within us all. So it's not loud and out there. We'll talk about that in a minute. Always, some people are, but it's this quiet flame burning inside of you that keeps you going, that gets you excited about life. It's an inner flame. It's a quiet power, and it's natural for all of us. Zeal keeps us looking forward, anticipating, and living courageously. Charles Fillmore writes, he writes a lot about zeal. And it's one of the portions of his book on the 12 powers that I am able to understand pretty clearly, because sometimes I can't. He says, zeal is the affirmative impulse of the universe, and its command is go forward. So, caution here, let your zeal be tempered with wisdom. You are not to repress zeal, but to guide along this spirit of enthusiasm. In Psalm 69:9, it says, the zeal of thy house hath eaten me up. When I first read that, I'm thinking, what does that mean? Well, it means that the zeal faculty has become misdirected with intense intellectual and physical activity and has consumed our vitality and left no time or energy for personal prayer, meditation, reflection. This intense intellectual excitement and physical activity, along with the emotions that can come about when people have that outward in your face type of, you have to do this kind of what we might call zeal. That's not really zeal. It's very frenetic, frantic energy. This is often scattered and uncontrolled energy, but zeal is directed energy. Catherine Ponder, and she wrote back in the 1960s, so don't laugh when I use this as an example. She wrote that, where am I? Oh, there it is. That she likens the power of zeal to the carburetor in your automobile, distributing vaporized gasoline. So when I read that, I went to Paul and I said, do cars today have carburetors? He goes, nah. But you know what I mean. It fuels the body. It sparks the body and fuels the body. If you feel yourself drained or depleted, which we all have at times, then you have some work to do. The easiest thing and the quickest and best way to get out of that is find something to praise in your life. There are lots of things if we look for them. This praise turns that heavy energy into positive energy. Don't focus on what is going wrong in your life. Focus on what is going right and praise it and bless it and thank it and give gratitude for it. And then as you do that, then it's important, if you really need to work hard to get out, is then to get still. Just to get still and take a few moments to go inside and get quiet and call on your power of zeal. Focus your energy on the back of your neck, and this will explode energy through your body. It will take it all throughout your body. This type of energy works on our sympathetic nervous system. That's the part of our nervous system where things occur that we don't have to think about. Our breathing, our lungs, our heartbeat, the adrenaline that kicks into our body. So when we're feeling out of sorts, if we focus on this part of and send zeal energy out, it will balance out our energy and it will return to calm and peace. Of course, always end with gratitude. Zeal is that energy that fires you up and gets you moving. It's that vital look in your eye. And it doesn't matter whether you can run a marathon or you're in a wheelchair. It's not about physical activity. Your diet, exercise, activity level has a lot to do with that. This is about an inner power faculty that we all have. My mother had that fiery look in her eyes until the day she passed away. A couple of months before then was her 92nd birthday, and Paul and I took her out to lunch with my sister. And Paul he had this unique relationship with my mom. It was great. And he looked over at her and he said, "Mom, how old are you?" And she said, 32. And he said, "Well, how can it be that you're 30, you say you're 32 and you have 7 kids that are older than you?" And she said, "It wasn't easy." and so we laughed, and then he looked at her again and said, "Mom, how old are you?" And she said, "Does it really matter?" And I, thinking about it now, that's pretty profound. Does it really matter? No, it's that vitality within us. So all the powers that we have been talking about originate in the mind and then release the invisible presence of God that is always with us as we call on it. It's ready for us to give it, it's our command. It's ready for us to use it. If we don't call on it, then of course it sits dormant. This is why it's important to learn how to harness it and to use it. I want to read to you a quote by Norman Vincent Peale, Dr. Norman Vincent Peale, because he talked about the zest of life. He says, "Think excitement, talk excitement, act out excitement, and you are bound to become an excited person. Life will take on a new zest, deeper interest, and greater meaning. You can think, talk, and act yourself into dullness or monotony or into unhappiness. But by the same process, you can build up inspiration, excitement, and a surging depth of joy." And that's from the Positive Principle today. It's what we're talking about. What we think, what we say, what we do is going to keep going. What we focus on multiplies. That's one of our unity principles, pretty much. Now, one of the ways to get a clear understanding of what a power is to look at the opposite of it. And so the opposite of zeal, which is go forward, is looking back. Many people are unaware of the danger of this kind of mental or emotional habit, but it's very much a part of most of our lives, looking back at unhappy memories and regrets with guilt. In Genesis 19, we get, and you don't have a quote for that, Linda. In Genesis 19, we get a symbolic illustration of the consequences of lack of zeal or looking back in the story of Lot and his wife. Lot and his family were told to leave the city that was about to be destroyed, the cities of Sodom and Gomorrah, and to not look back. Well, we know the story. Lot's wife turned around to look, and she became a pillar of salt. Now let's look at this metaphysically. All female, and I didn't know this, all female characters in the Bible represent some part of man's feeling or emotional nature. Man meaning mankind. So women in the Bible represent emotional feelings. Lot's wife represented our emotions about the past. The burning cities stand for all the errors and misfortunes in our past that are being dissolved as we go forward into greater good. And if we cling to unhappy memories or wish that things could return to the way they used to be, I know none of us have ever said that, right? But when we focus on that and think about it and really have emotions about it, we're moving backwards. We get stuck in the past. We literally become a pillar of salt in the sense of our forward progress. So if you find yourself returning to unhappy memories from the past, which we will, then this is the time to get still. This is the time to go inside. This is the time to ask for zeal to come forward, to send the energy to help us move out of this, to move forward, to go past the old. And when I looked back over my notes this morning about my mom's comment, does this really matter? This has become my new best saying when I'm thinking about old stuff and I don't want to be there. Does it really matter? With that kind of emphasis that she had, does it really matter? It's over. It's gone. Let it go and move forward. So zeal will respond quickly, and it will help you regenerate that spiritual motivation that we need to move. And as we forgive and let go of things, whomever, whatever, we can more easily live in the newness of possibilities for today, because today is where our life is. Let's look at Isaiah 43, 18, 19. Remember not the former things, neither consider the things of old. Behold, I do a new thing. Now it shall spring forth, and you shall know it. I will even make a way in the wilderness and rivers in the desert. So don't dwell on the past. There are openings that will happen for us as we live in the present moment, as we use the gifts that we've been given to move forward. So I have a few steps to remind us of how to use these properties, this gift. The first one is use affirmative prayer when seeking guidance from Spirit. Affirm that God is always present within me, and knowing that I can always rely on the spiritual gifts that will respond to me when I call them forth. When we do that, when we affirm the truth about who we are, who God is in our lives, and know that there is something for us, something good that will help propel us forward, it's easier to, and this is a habit. It's a habit to replace the dwelling on unhappy things. Okay, second one. to reignite that fire within you. Praise things that are good in your life, whatever it is, rather than thinking of what is wrong. You're never going to have the energy to change your life thinking about what is wrong. By using praise, you are turning on the energy to move forward and make some positive changes in your life. And I know as we get older, it's like, I don't want to change anymore. But every day, everything changes. We can't stay stagnant. So let's move towards a positive change rather than holding on to the past. Third one, if you feel depleted of your life energy, zeal, take some time to get still. We talked about that a little bit ago. Focus on the back of your neck and send energy to every part of your body. Just the very act of doing that, of taking the time to turn away from what you're feeling, the depleted energy, just that little simple act of pretty much saying, I want it to be different, will change things immediately. It may take a little while to get out, but it'll start the change. And the fourth, take time to nurture and care for yourself. We are all on a journey here together, and to be valuable to each other, we need to be centered in spirit. And that's important if you are in the service field of helping other people. Don't give out all your own energy without taking care of yourself. Because if you don't have anything to give, if you haven't taken care of yourself, you don't have anything to give. Okay, here's a quote by Marianne Williamson that I want to start to wrap this up with. Your playing small does not serve the world. There is nothing enlightened about shrinking so that other people won't feel insecure around you. We are all meant to shine. That's who we are. We are all meant to shine. And of course, I have to end with the statement by Charles Fillmore. I fairly sizzle with zeal and enthusiasm as I spring forth with a mighty faith to do the things that ought to be done by me. Remember, he was 94 years old when he wrote this and said this. Wasn't about how physical his body was, but his spirit was strong. So let's take a few moments now and take some of these things that we've talked about and put into practice with meditation. So as we turn within, as we close our eyes, as we leave the stuff outside and move within, we remember there is one presence and one power in the universe. God the good, omnipotent. So breathe that in. Oh, and as you exhale, feel yourself relaxing. Feel your body gently sitting in your chair. Your spirit is waiting because it knows. It knows that we are here to celebrate life, to celebrate the God that is ever present within us, the ever present vibration of unconditional love. So we are aware of that quiet power of the universe flowing through our body. Feel your neck and shoulders relaxing. Yeah. And so as we breathe, we see, we feel, we imagine that white, golden white light of God descending into the crown of our head to join that energy of God within us. And it fills our head, acknowledges the frontal part of our head, our brain, that is the conscious thinking part of our brain, so we can be aware of what we are doing now. And this energy flows down through your body into the solar plexus where our emotions are. This beautiful golden white light filling every speck up. And then it goes back up to our neck, the back of our neck, where the medulla oblongata resides, the part between the head and the heart. And the energy turns to orange, a brilliant, vibrant orange. And as it does, Zeal has the effect of immediately touching into action our nose, our mouth, our ears, our eyes, and our throat. It activates the energy there. And so as this orange, beautiful orange, is spreading throughout those areas in our head, we see that our eyes see with the light of God. Our ears hear with the heart of God. Our nose smells the sweet fragrance of the presence of God within us always. Our mouth speaks words of truth and love, filled with life, filled with zeal, moving forward always. And our throat, that is filled with this orange, beautiful energy, is also where the faculty of power is, which is important to the faculty of zeal. So that as we speak, as we go forward, we speak with the power of the Spirit of God within us. And this orange glow spreads throughout our body. Infinite energy and intelligence is flowing forth in zeal and enthusiasm throughout our body. Inexhaustible energy, unending energy, filling our very bodies, going through the heart and the wisdom areas, our solar plexus again, down through our hips, and ending at our feet to balance us, to hold us firmly in the truth, for us to know that we have this power of the presence of God within us always. I am inspired and focused, exhilarated in my sense of purpose. I devote my thoughts, energy, and time toward being a blessing by using my talents and gifts for good. So we are aware of this superpower that we have now reactivated within us. And so as we go forth in our life, no matter what we have to go through, we have access to this energy that could very well change our lives at any moment as we call it forth. So we feel that energy rolling through our body, lifting us up, activating, exhilarating us, thrilling every cell and tissue in our body. And we are filled with gratitude. And we say, thank you. Thank you, God,